My twin brother insists that I give him my house and my business, claiming he deserves more than I do because he got into college. My brother and I are twins, but that's where the similarities end. Growing up, he was the kid who screamed until our parents gave in. Tantrums in grocery stores, crying fits over the smallest things. I learned early to stay quiet and out of the way, because all the attention had to go to keeping him happy. When we hit high school, everyone expected us to be on the same path, but we had completely different goals. He talked constantly about being the first person in our family to go to college. He'd tell relatives at every family dinner how he was going to make everyone proud. The problem was, I never once saw him crack open a textbook. Meanwhile, I was working shifts at the grocery store and staying up until 2:00 in the morning taking online business courses. Our family was broke, like choosing between paying rent or buying groceries broke. I wanted to help, not add another financial burden by going to college. My entrepreneurship teacher saw something in me. Senior year, he helped me start a small consulting business doing bookkeeping for local shops. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I graduated top of my class while my brother barely passed. He failed his college entrance exams twice. I didn't say anything, just kept my head down and worked. 3 years went by. My business grew from helping one shop to managing accounts for 12 different clients. I saved every penny I could and bought a small house 2 states away. Finally had my own space, my own life. Here's the thing nobody talks about. With me out of the house, there was one less person to feed. I sent half of everything I earned back home, every single paycheck split down the middle. Because of that money, my mom finally quit her job, cleaning houses for rich people who treated her like dirt. My dad cut his hours at the factory. They had breathing room for the first time in 20 years. Then my brother calls me, says he finally passed his exams and got into a state college. I was genuinely happy for him. I congratulated him, said it was funny that out of all the schools, he got into one near me. He goes quiet for a second and says it wasn't funny at all. He'd specifically applied to schools in my state because he wanted to move in with me. I figured he meant crashing in my spare bedroom for a semester, that I could handle. But when I offered, he cut me off. That's not what he wanted. He wanted me to sign over the house deed, pack my stuff, and leave because he needed privacy while he studied. Couldn't focus with me around, apparently. I actually laughed. Thought he was messing with me. He wasn't laughing. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. He wanted my business too. His logic was that while he'd been trying to get into college, I had free time to build my company. That gave me an unfair advantage in life. To make things even, he needed my business to get started. I was talented enough to just start another one from scratch. I told him that would never happen. Not the house, not the business, none of it. He hung up and immediately called our parents. 10 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Texts from my mom saying I was being selfish. My dad calling me ungrateful for everything they did, raising me. Cousins I haven't spoken to in 5 years messaging me about how family is supposed to help each other. Then came the voice message from my mom that broke me. She said they'd always known I was the talented one. That's why my brother needed my help more. I could rebuild everything I'd lost, but he was still finding his way. She actually said I owed him this because our parents had spent more time managing his problems than celebrating my success. Like that was somehow my fault. 53 messages in 6 hours. All saying the same thing, that keeping what I built makes me a bad son, a bad brother, a bad person. I blocked everyone and tried to sleep. Around 3 a.m., headlights lit up my bedroom window. A car door slammed. Then another. I looked outside and saw my parents' van parked in my driveway. My brother was pulling suitcases out of the trunk. My mom was pointing at my front door, talking fast. I watched him try my door handle. When it didn't open, he started pounding. My dad pulled a key from his pocket, the emergency spare I'd given them years ago for safekeeping. I ran downstairs as the lock turned. The deadbolt was still engaged, which bought me maybe 3 seconds. I could hear my dad jiggling the key, confused why the door wasn't opening all the way. My brother was shouting something about me being a coward. I grabbed the door frame and pressed my shoulder against the door. "Stop!" I yelled through the gap. "You can't just break in here!" My brother's face appeared in the crack, eyes wild. "This is going to be my house anyway, so just let us in." "Like hell it is." I pushed harder against the door. My dad was still trying to force it open from the other side. My mom's voice came next, high-pitched and desperate. "Sweetie, please, we drove all night. Just let us talk to you. We can talk through the door," I said. My feet were planted on the hardwood floor, but I could feel them starting to slide. My dad was bigger than me, stronger. If he really wanted to get in, I couldn't hold them off forever. "You're being ridiculous," my brother spat. "I need to start school in 2 weeks. Where am I supposed to live?" "Not here. I told you that already." My phone was upstairs. I hadn't grabbed it when I ran down. Stupid. If I moved to get it, they'd force their way in. My dad's voice dropped to that low, disappointed tone he'd perfected over the years. "Son, we didn't raise you to be selfish. Your brother needs help getting started, and you have more than enough. This is what family does. Family doesn't steal from each other," I shot back. It's not stealing if it should have been his to begin with. My mom this time. You got lucky with that business. If your brother had the same opportunities, he'd be just as successful. I felt something snap inside me. All those years of sending money home, all those nights I'd worked until my eyes burned, surviving on ramen and hope. They thought it was luck? I worked for everything I have, I said. My voice came out harder than I meant it to. I didn't get lucky. I stayed up while everyone else slept. I worked while he was out partying. I saved every dollar while he was blowing through cash. That wasn't luck. See? My brother's face twisted with anger. You've always thought you were better than me. That's why you won't help. I've been helping. My shoulder was starting to ache from the pressure. Who do you think paid for Mom to quit her job? Who sent money home every month? Me, not you. Silence on the other side. For a moment, I thought maybe they'd leave. Maybe they'd see how insane this was. Then my brother said, "You owe us. All that money you sent, we used it for my tutoring, my prep courses, my applications. You helped me get into college, so you have to help me finish." The pieces clicked together. The money I'd sent to help with rent and groceries, the money I thought was giving my parents a better life, had been funneled straight to him. For years. "Get off my porch," I said quietly. "What?" My mom sounded genuinely confused. I said, "Get off my porch. Go to a motel. Go back home. I don't care. But you're not coming in here." My brother slammed his fist against the door, making me flinch. "You can't kick us out. We drove all night." "That was your choice." I looked through the gap in the door, making eye contact with my mom. "You took money I sent in good faith and used it for him. You knew what you were doing. You knew I thought it was going to food and bills." "It did go to bills," my dad argued. "His education is a bill, not my bill." I could see the window near the front door from where I stood. My neighbor's house was dark, but Mrs. Chen was a light sleeper. If this got much louder, she'd call the cops herself. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to close this door. If you break in, I'm calling the police for trespassing. If you camp out on my porch, I'm calling the police for trespassing. You can either leave now or leave when the cops make you." "You'd really call the cops on your own family?" My mom's voice cracked. "You really tried to steal my house." I took a breath. Yeah, I would. My brother tried one more time to force the door, but I was ready for it. I planted my feet and held firm. After a few seconds, he gave up. "You're going to regret this," he said. Not a threat, just a statement of fact in his mind. "When I'm successful and you come crawling back, I'm going to remember this." "Great. Something for both of us to look forward to." I heard them retreat down the steps, whispered arguing. Car doors. Then finally, the van's engine started up. I stayed pressed against the door until I heard them drive away, then waited another 5 minutes to be sure. When I finally opened the door, the porch was empty. Just the emergency spare key lying on the welcome mat. They'd left it behind, probably thinking I'd feel guilty and call them back. I picked up the key, went inside, and locked the door. The deadbolt, the handle lock, and the chain. Then I sat on the floor with my back against the door and just breathed. The whole thing felt surreal, like I'd wake up tomorrow and find out it was a nightmare. But the key in my hand was real. The texts on my phone were real. The fact that my own parents had tried to break into my house was very, very real. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Instead, I grabbed my laptop and pulled up my phone. Around 4:30 a.m., with the sky just starting to lighten, I heard my brother outside again. Not at the door this time, but in my driveway. I looked out the window and saw him standing there, face illuminated by his phone screen. He was recording a video, talking to the camera, gesturing at my house. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could guess. Poor kid trying to get an education. Mean brother won't help. Probably something like that. I grabbed my own phone and started recording from the window. Got clear shots of him in my driveway at 4:30 inches the morning, trespassing on my property. When he noticed the light from my phone screen, he looked up. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, a challenge. He walked right up to my door and started talking. I couldn't hear him through the glass, but I kept recording. I watched his mouth move, watched him point at the house, watched him put his hand on my car in the driveway like he owned it. Then he said something that made me open the window. "This house should be mine anyway," he shouted, loud enough for anyone to hear. "I deserve it more than you. You had a head start. You had advantages. I'm the one who got into college. I'm the one with the degree coming. This is what I deserve." I made sure my phone was still recording video and audio. "Say that again," I called down. "I want to make sure I got it." He looked confused for a second, then saw my phone pointed at him, but he was too worked up to stop. "You heard me," he yelled. "This house, your business, all of it. I deserve it more than you do. You've always had everything easy. You're supposed to help me. That's what brothers do. And if I don't, then I'll take it anyway." He gestured wildly at the house. "Mom and Dad agree with me. They know you're being selfish. Everyone knows it. You can give it to me now, or I'll make your life hell until you do." Perfect. I had the whole thing on video. Him admitting he wanted to take my house. Him making threats. Him trespassing at 4:30 inches the morning. All time-stamped. All clear as day. "Okay," I said. "Good to know where we stand. I closed the window, saved the video to 3 different places, and sent a copy to my email. Then I waited for the sun to come up. At 8 a.m., I called a locksmith. I need all my locks changed, I told the guy who answered. Today, if possible, someone has a key who shouldn't. He could come at 10. Perfect. At 8:15, I texted my dad. I want the emergency spare key back. You left one, but I know Mom kept copies. I want all of them. He called instead of texting. You're overreacting, he said. No hello, no apology. We're your parents. We should have access in case of emergency. This isn't an emergency. This is you trying to help him steal from me. We're not stealing. We're asking you to help your brother by giving him my house, by giving him a place to stay while he gets his education. When he graduates and gets a good job, he can buy his own place. Then you get your house back. I actually laughed. You think I'm that stupid? He won't give it back. Once the deed's in his name, it's his forever. We'd make sure. No, I want every spare key, today, or I'm changing all the locks, and you'll never have access again. Silence on the other end. Then, you've changed. This isn't the son we raised. The son you raised sent you half his paycheck for 3 years. That son is gone. You killed him when you decided to take that money and spend it on him instead of what it was meant for. I hung up before he could respond. The locksmith arrived at 10:15. Nice guy. Didn't ask too many questions when I told him someone had tried to break in using a spare key. By noon, I had all new locks, new keys, and a receipt for everything. I programmed the new key code into my deadbolt and made sure the old code was completely erased. At 12:30, my brother called. We got a motel room, he said. Not sorry for showing up at 3 a.m. Not sorry for trying to break in. Just stating a fact. Cool, I said. It's expensive. We need money. Get a job. I'm starting college in 2 weeks. I can't get a job. Then I guess you'll figure something out. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You know we can't afford this. You know Mom and Dad are struggling. You're really going to let your own family be homeless? You're not homeless. You have a house back home. Go there. But my school is here. That's your problem, not mine. He was quiet for a long moment. I could hear voices in the background. My parents probably coaching him on what to say. Okay, he said finally. Okay, if that's how you want to play it. That's how I have to play it. He hung up. I waited for the next move. It came that night on Facebook. My aunt, the one who lives 3 states over and barely talks to any of us, posted a long message about family values, about how some people forget where they came from, about how success means nothing if you abandon the people who helped you get there. She didn't name me, but everyone knew who she was talking about. Then my cousin shared it. Then another aunt. By morning, I had relatives I hadn't spoken to in years leaving comments on my old photos, talking about how disappointed they were in me. My uncle sent me a direct message. Your brother told us what happened, he wrote. I can't believe you'd turn your back on him like this. After everything your parents did for you. I didn't respond. What was the point? They'd already made up their minds based on whatever story my brother had spun. By the end of the week, 3 of my clients had dropped me. Small businesses I'd been working with for over a year. When I called to ask why, they were vague. Going in a different direction, one said. Found someone local, said another. But the third one was honest. Look, I heard some things about you, about how you treat your family, and I can't work with someone who'd do that to their own brother. What did you hear? That he needed help, and you cut him off. That your parents are struggling, and you won't help them even though you've got money. That you're running some kind of business you stole from a partner. None of that's true. Maybe, but I can't take the risk. My business is based on trust, and right now I don't trust you. I hung up and sat staring at my computer screen. This was escalating faster than I'd expected. My family wasn't just mad, they were actively trying to destroy my reputation. I pulled up my client list. 12 businesses. If I lost any more, I'd be in serious trouble. The house payment alone was $1,500 a month, not counting utilities, internet, insurance. I'd been comfortable, but I wasn't rich. Losing 3 clients hurt. I spent the next 2 days calling each of my remaining clients, setting up in-person meetings. I brought printed contracts, work samples, references. I explained the situation carefully, professionally. There's been some family drama, I told them. Someone's been spreading rumors. If you hear anything about me, I'd appreciate it if you'd come to me first so I can address it. Most of them were understanding. A few were wary, but they all agreed to keep working with me, at least for now. On Friday morning, I got an email from one of the clients who dropped me. Subject line, new bookkeeper? I opened it and felt my stomach drop. I was contacted by someone claiming to be taking over your accounts, the email read. He said there's been a change in management and offered cheaper rates. The email came from an address that looked like yours, but slightly different. I thought you should know. I called him immediately. What was the email address? He read it off. It was my business name, but with services added to the end instead of consulting. To someone who wasn't paying close attention, it would look legitimate. Did he say his name? Yeah, same last name as yours, so I figured you were related. Was I wrong to give him access to our files? My heart stopped. You gave him files? He said you'd already discussed it with me, that it was part of the transition. He had details about our account that I figured he could only know if you'd told him. I closed my eyes. Don't give him anything else. That's my brother, and he doesn't work for my company. He's impersonating me. Oh, a pause. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'll call him back and tell him. Don't. Just forward me every email he sent you. I need to see exactly what he's saying. The emails were damning. My brother had created an entire fake business, using a similar name, similar email format. He'd reached out to my clients claiming there was a company restructure, and he was taking over their accounts at a reduced rate. 3 clients had already switched to him. But here's the thing. He had no idea what he was doing. He had client files because our parents had stolen them during one of their earlier visits, back when I still trusted them enough to let them in. But having the files didn't mean he could actually do the work. I sat at my computer and drafted an email. Professional, calm, with evidence. I sent it to every single one of my clients. Dear valued client, I've recently learned that someone has been impersonating my business and attempting to solicit your account. This person does not work for my company and is not authorized to access your files or represent my services. Any communication from email addresses other than my actual business email should be considered fraudulent. If you've received contact from this person, please forward those emails to me immediately. I take this matter very seriously and am pursuing legal action. Thank you for your continued trust. Then I attached screenshots of my brother's fake emails with his email address highlighted. I included proof of business registration, my LLC documents, everything that showed I was the legitimate business owner. Within an hour, my phone started ringing. 2 clients called to apologize, said they'd been duped but wanted to come back. One client forwarded me an entire thread of emails where my brother had tried to negotiate rates, clearly having no clue what the actual costs should be. The best one was from my former entrepreneurship teacher, Mr. Kaplan. He ran a medium-sized retail business now and had been one of my first clients. Just got an interesting email, his message read. Want to grab coffee? We met at a diner near his store. He showed me his phone, where my brother had sent multiple messages trying to convince him to switch over. He mentioned you specifically, Mr. Kaplan said. Said you'd stolen his business ideas, that he'd been the real brains behind the operation from the start. He took a sip of his coffee. I've known you since you were 17. I've watched you build this from nothing. So I'm going to ask you straight, is any of that true? No, sir. He's never worked a day in my business. He's trying to steal my clients because I wouldn't give him my house. Mr. Kaplan raised an eyebrow. Your house? I explained the whole situation. The college acceptance, the demand for my house and business, my parents helping him, all of it. By the end, Mr. Kaplan was shaking his head. Your brother showed up here this morning, he said, in person. Tried to schedule a meeting to discuss transitioning my account. I told him I'd think about it, then I called you. I appreciate that. Don't thank me yet. He pulled out a folder from his bag. I saved every email you ever sent me, every invoice, every piece of advice, every recommendation. I've got documentation going back 3 years showing this is your business, built from your work. He slid the folder across the table. If you need references to prove this kid's lying, I'll write you a letter, and I'll testify if it comes to that. I felt my throat tighten. Why would you do that? Because you're a good kid who worked hard for what you have, and because I'm the one who wrote your first recommendation letter. He smiled. The one that got you that big grocery store account when you were just starting out. I've got records of that too. So if anyone questions whether you built this business yourself, I've got proof you did. We talked for another hour. He gave me copies of everything, told me to document every interaction with my brother, every attempt to steal clients. This is fraud, he said. Business fraud. If he keeps pushing, you need to be ready to press charges. I drove home with the folder on my passenger seat, feeling like maybe I wasn't completely alone in this. That feeling lasted until I got home and saw my front door hanging open. I parked in the driveway, my hands shaking. I'd locked that door. I knew I'd locked it. The new locks, the new keys, everything was supposed to be secure. I pulled out my phone and called 911 before I even got out of the car. Someone broke into my house. I told the dispatcher, I'm outside. I don't know if they're still in there. The cops arrived in maybe 8 minutes. 2 officers walked through my house while I waited in the driveway, watching neighbors peer out their windows. When the officers came back out, one of them was holding an evidence bag. You'll want to see this, he said. Inside the bag was my laptop, the one from my home office, except the screen was completely shattered, spiderwebbed from what looked like multiple impacts. The place is trashed, the other officer said. Specifically your office. Everything else is untouched, but whoever did this really had it out for your workspace. I followed them inside. My home office looked like a tornado had hit it. My desk was flipped over. Files were scattered everywhere, torn and crumpled. My desktop computer was smashed. The tower dented like someone had kicked it repeatedly. The external hard drive where I backed up client files was gone. Any idea who might have done this? The first officer asked. I pulled out my phone and showed him the security camera footage. I'd installed cameras after changing the locks. one covering the front door, one covering the back. The footage showed my brother jimmying the back door lock at 1:47 p.m. less than 2 hours ago. Showed him going straight to my office. Showed him destroying everything methodically, taking his time. That's your brother? The officer watched the footage twice. And he's done this because he wants my business. He wants my house. He thinks he deserves it more than I do. The officer exchanged a look with his partner. We're going to need you to come down to the station and file a full report. Bring any documentation you have, communication, threats, anything. I gathered everything. The texts from my parents, the voicemail from my mom, the video of my brother at 4:30 a.m. claiming the house should be his, the fake business emails, all of it. At the station, I sat across from a detective who looked incredibly tired. This is a family dispute, he said after I explained everything. Are you sure you want to press charges against your own brother? He destroyed my business equipment. He's been committing fraud, impersonating my company. Yes, I want to press charges. Your parents aren't going to like this. My parents tried to break into my house a week ago. I don't care what they like. He wrote everything down, told me they'd investigate, that it might take time, asked if I had somewhere safe to stay in case my brother came back. I'm not leaving my house, I told him. I worked too hard for it. I drove home and called a security company. By that night, I had a full alarm system installed. Motion sensors, glass break sensors, cameras covering every entrance. The guy who installed it took one look at my destroyed office and didn't ask questions. Then I sat down and did something I should have done weeks ago. I calculated exactly how much money I'd sent my parents over the past 3 years. Every payment, every transfer, every time I'd covered a bill. The total came to $41,736. I made a spreadsheet, organized it by date, by amount, by what the money was supposedly for, rent, groceries, car repairs, medical bills, every justification my parents had given me. Then I emailed it to them with a simple message. This is how much I sent you. This is how much you spent on him instead of what I intended. He can pay you back with his college degree. I didn't expect a response. I got one anyway, from my mom. How could you? Her email read. How could you keep track like this? Like we're strangers? Like family means nothing? We used that money to help your brother because he needed it more. You've always been fine on your own. He's struggled. This is what parents do. We help the child who needs it most. And now you're throwing it in our faces like we did something wrong. You've become cruel. I don't even recognize you anymore. I read it 3 times, looking for an apology that wasn't there, looking for any acknowledgement that they'd lied to me, that they'd taken money meant for food and bills and used it for tutoring and prep courses. Nothing, just blame, just guilt. I deleted the email and didn't respond. The next day, my brother showed up at Mr. Kaplan's store. I know because Mr. Kaplan called me immediately. Your brother just tried to sabotage your presentation, he said. I'm banned him from the property, but you need to know what he said. Apparently, my brother had walked in and asked to speak with the owner, told Mr. Kaplan that I was mentally unstable, that I'd stolen all my business ideas from him, that the only reason I had any success was because I'd copied his work and passed it off as my own. Mr. Kaplan had listened politely, then asked, "Do you have any proof of that?" "Everyone knows it," my brother had said. "Ask anyone in our family. I'd rather ask your former entrepreneurship teacher." Mr. Kaplan had smiled. "Oh wait, that's me. I watched this kid build this business from scratch. I have emails going back 3 years documenting every step, so either you're lying or you think I'm an idiot." My brother had apparently turned red and started arguing, getting louder and angrier. That's when Mr. Kaplan had called security and had him removed from the store. "I'm writing a statement," Mr. Kaplan told me over the phone. "Official documentation that I've known you since high school, that I helped you start this business, that your brother had zero involvement. If this goes to court, you'll have it." "Thank you," I said. My voice came out rough. "I don't know how to thank you enough. You thanked me by not giving up. You built something good here. Don't let him destroy it." I spent the weekend backing up everything to cloud storage. Every client file, every contract, every piece of documentation. If my brother came back and destroyed more equipment, at least the actual work would be safe. On Monday, I got a call from the police. "Your brother's college has been contacted about the fraud investigation," the detective said. "They're conducting their own review of his application." "Why?" "Apparently, he listed work experience that doesn't exist. Claimed he'd been working in consulting for 2 years. When they checked with the business address he listed, it was your company. My brother had lied on his college application, used my business as his work experience. Probably thought no one would ever check, or that I'd back him up if they did. The admissions office is taking it seriously," the detective continued. "They don't tolerate fraud. Even if the criminal case takes time, the college will make their own decision." 2 days later, my brother's acceptance was rescinded. The college sent him a letter explaining that they'd found multiple discrepancies in his application, including fabricated work experience and references that couldn't be verified. My phone exploded with messages. My mom, my dad, my brother, all of them, screaming about how I'd ruined his life, how I'd destroyed his only chance at success, how I'd taken everything from him. "You did this," my mom's voicemail said. She was crying. "You called the college, didn't you? You told them lies about him. You sabotaged your own brother because you couldn't stand to see him succeed. I hope you're happy. I hope this is what you wanted." My dad's message was shorter. He was going to make something of himself. Now he has nothing. "Are you satisfied?" My brother sent a text that just said, "I'll never forgive you for this." I sat in my newly repaired office, looking at the messages, and felt absolutely nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, no vindication. Just empty. They'd pushed and pushed until I had to push back. They'd lied and stolen and tried to destroy what I built. And when I finally defended myself, when I finally said no and meant it, I became the villain. The phone rang again. I almost didn't answer, but it was Mr. Kaplan. "I heard about the college," he said. "Your brother came by again. Security stopped him before he got in, but he was yelling about how you ruined his life." "I didn't call the college," I said. "The police did, as part of the fraud investigation." "I know." I told him that. He didn't care. Kept yelling that it was your fault, that you'd taken everything from him. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. "He really believes that, doesn't he? That he deserves what I built? That I owe him? Some people spend their whole lives blaming others for their problems." "Mr. Kaplan said quietly, "Your brother's one of them, and your parents enabled it. Nothing you do will ever be enough because in their minds, you're the reason he's failing. Not his choices, not his actions. You. So what do? You keep moving forward, you keep building, and you let them figure out their own lives because you can't do it for them." After we hung up, I looked around my office. The new desk I'd had to buy, the replacement computer, the files I'd had to reorganize. All of it cost money I didn't want to spend, time I didn't want to waste, but the business was still running. My clients were still with me, and I still had my house.